Lil KRIZAN, KRIZAN. I like to talk to you about the BS that goes through my brain while traveling to help you feel normal for being you. Brace yourself. This is going to be a serious vlog. Australia. I come from a very racist country. Let's do this. There is no way you cannot have an opinion about what happened to George Floyd, to Ahmaud Arbery, to Christian Cooper. George Floyd basically became the catalyst for those of minority to be able to voice their daily struggles in being coloured. Racism has been a part of my life. Every single individual who is coloured has experienced some form of racism, whether it be discrimination at work, whether it be on the playground, when you go into a store and you buy something and then all of a sudden you have security following you down every single fucking aisle. Over the years, you then learn a certain type of demeanour and you have a certain expression when you are completely disappointed with the treatment you are receiving purely by that person's prejudice towards you. I needed these speeches from Congressman Al Green as well as actor John Boyega to remind me of me and what I've gone through. You see, it's such a daily thing for us to have the prejudice, the judgments, the taunts, the difference in treatment. We are all so used to it that we just assume that we have to accept it and just learn to work with it. And hopefully one day the world will actually be able to operate equal on all grounds. But I needed these speeches to remind me that we don't have to tolerate this. People must be held accountable for what it is that they say and do to others purely on racism. Racism isn't something you're born with. Racism is a choice. It's one of the reasons that I don't want to return to my homeland. Australia is very racist. And it took a rapper like Illy to help me regain my faith in my country.
Dude, literally the first time of going into a place and I'm like, oh, no better place than Collective, just to kick it off, you know what I mean? Marco and I haven't seen each other in a while, and
like 2 months.
Yeah, we jammed together, and so today we just saw each other and it's like, oh man, it's so good to get some normality in. I mean, we're still keeping our distance, okay? Say what? We're like the collective family, man.
Racism exists everywhere. And it stems from our upbringing. It stems from the culture that we are exposed to. And the unfortunate truth is that society does paint a certain picture. It depends on what you read, what you're watching, what you're listening to be able to decipher if racism has made an influence on your life. 3 in 4 Australians are racist towards Indigenous Australians. And I used to be one of them. I didn't think very highly of them. The people of our soil in Australia receive the sharp end of the knife when it comes to racism. This was in the first year of me traveling, back in 2016. I distinctly recall the guy actually just asking me, oh, so you are native Australian? No, I'm not. No. My parents come from the islands in the South Pacific. I was really offended when this guy said it to me. After that moment, I held it and I was like, why are you offended when people make out that you could quite possibly be native Australian? Why are you offended? I thought back to my childhood. The Yolngu tribe, they opened their hearts to me and they gave me a name and I was raised with them as a child, and I cannot remember a day where they disrespected me or treated me like shit. Till this day, my mum still talks to some people and they still send me their love. And yet I found myself in a culture of showing racism towards Indigenous Australians where I
then adopted that idea, that mentality, and started to show that to the people who loved me. Who does that? Who allows that? This is what I'm saying. Racism is a choice. It is a choice. You can decide whether you want to make others feel inferior simply because you have some kind of supremacy on your own race. It's why you're threatened by those who are different. We should be embracing each other. We have so much to learn from each other. Shortly after understanding my childhood, I then embraced when people said I was Native Australian. This is where I was born. I was born in a country where Aboriginals were our beginnings. And yet today, 3 in 4 Australians are racist towards the foundation of our country. I allowed society to change my opinion of who I began living this life with. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. Anyone.
No? Yeah, you guys are it. Ali's sister, Rose, got a new puppy, so I just wanted to share some puppy love with you because I love them. The majority of racism that I have received in my life, even as a traveller, has been in my home country, Australia. Because white supremacy, white privilege exists in Australia. It's quite strong in certain parts. Australia is filled with people of different races, and yet still in the metropolitan cities, you will experience racism. Walking through a mall, at a medical centre, in the supermarket, sitting at a park with some friends, somebody will drop a line or start yelling something across the park towards you. And that's my experience. Everyone has different experiences, but my experience is that my homeland has been the worst towards me because of my colour. That I prefer to live in Europe because I'm treated equal in Europe. Here they actually prize me because I'm different. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where you were embraced because you were different, celebrated because you were different? Can you imagine that? Because if you can't imagine that, then you've never ever experienced what it's like to be different. That minorities in a completely different country are losing their lives just because they're different. How is that fair to take someone's life because of your own fears? I experienced very vocal racism in Australia. Australia is really, really amazing. But there are just, just that few where they just think that they can pass judgment on you. Tell me how the situation that's happening over in America is affecting you, because it impacts everyone. Oh my gosh.
Don't touch a cat. That's a fucking echidna. I've never seen one before in my life. Hedgehog. I don't know, one of those things,
I didn't participate in Black Lives Matter tag and all social media because I was afraid of the trend. This is something I don't want to be a trend. The fact that I can't change this. This is beautiful, but it's just so sad that to some people, they find this a threat. No one deserves to walk down a street fearing for their life because of the way they are. We're all in this together. So why is it so hard to live together? Ooh, damn, a little salty. Time out with the boys. It was exactly what I needed.
Here with Jola and Ahmed. I'm so grateful to these guys. Just like bringing me out so we can enjoy this together, you know, during Corona time. And being able to have just pizza and just chill. Man, it's so good to just chill. Sanitizer is literally everywhere for me. I'm just like so fucking grateful. Ah! I'm just so grateful that this is now becoming massive all over the world, because with the pandemic, people are thinking of everything differently. It's how people are being treated purely by their race. It's happening all over. Certain races struggling because of finances, but they've been put in that position because of the government, because of the way people make out things to be in society. My beginnings was in the Northern Territory of Australia. And there, we embrace each other. I didn't know my colour until I moved to the east side of Australia. That's when I realised, oh, I'm different. But in school and by my childhood, we were playing with people from all different races. My classroom literally had like probably a quarter of people who were Caucasian Australian. It is now that I'm realising that I'm a part of the minority, that I've had my fair share of ill treatment because the way I look, because it hurts. I was born like this. You weren't born with that opinion in your mind. Change it.
Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, try and share some love with somebody who may feel different.
If you like this vid, go ahead and click the thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. Click the bell at the very end. Why? So you are reminded of when my mammoth is next released. Lil KRIZAN, KRIZAN. Stay safe.